very different facets of what is legal and illegal on the internet, ranging from defamation to, just saying inappropriate things online. Raees, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So in the case of With a Wonder, you've got a guy who has very vocally said that he thinks it's appropriate to have sexually charged conversations, sexual relationships with someone who's 14. Clearly, that violates a whole laundry list of local and federal laws. The question here is that a catfisher posing as a girl who is 17 caught him at a conversation that was illegal in some states, but not legal in others. He lives in Hawaii, where the age of consent is 16. Based upon your review of this, did he break the law here?
I would say yes. And first of all, let me just say that, looking at this was very difficult. I mean, this guy, in my opinion, is a pariah of social characters, right? This is stuff you just don't do. Not only, we'll talk about the legalities, but ethically, morally, and if you read in detail some of his comments, Chris, right, and you've probably seen it, that he's made on Twitter, it's absolutely disgusting. It's abhorrent, right? And there's some great quotes that, I could mention to you and your viewers, where he says having consensual sex with a 14-year-old is less of a crime than stealing a 6-pack of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, this is outrageous stuff. And I've gone face to face with, more than 400 predators in my time in these investigations. And this guy certainly fits into that category. Horrible stuff. Is it illegal, though? Or is this somebody trying to be outrageous, using his First Amendment right to be shocking and get clicks on YouTube and other social media platforms?
So it's a really interesting question, because the first thing we look at is what the age of consent is, which is very different from the age of majority. Age of majority means something else. It means whether you are legally considered an adult for purposes of entering into a contract, right? So here we have a question of the age of consent, which is specific to sexual conduct. And it is true, it appears that the age of consent in Hawaii and in Maryland is in fact 16 in both jurisdictions. The problem is we have federal solicitation laws that I feel apply here. And it's U.S. Criminal Code Title 18, Chapter 117, which specifically says that if you're using some means of interstate commerce to solicit somebody for sexual contact, right, sexual activities, that it's a crime if that person's not yet 18. And that has an extreme fine, and it's punishable for up to 10 years in prison. So I think that applies here. He certainly used interstate commerce, and aside from all the other, state rules that people have looked at, I think this would be a crime under that statute.
He has, as you know, been taken off of Twitch, where he was a streamer with some 21,000 followers, but he is still on YouTube. And it begs the question, Raees, what responsibility does YouTube have here to govern a creator who clearly is outrageous, offensive, predator-like, who likely has broken the law using this social media platform? What responsibility does YouTube have here, even though With a Wonder has not been criminally charged?
So this is a little bit of a slippery slope, and I'll tell you my personal opinion on what YouTube should do. YouTube should do exactly what Twitch and Discord did, which is ban the guy and preclude him from coming onto their platform again. And that's hard to police because you can be anonymous online, as we know. But I think particularly if YouTube is aware of this fact and aware of what he's doing, he should absolutely be banned. 100%, no questions about it.
And to take it a step further, Raees, what if somebody's 13-year-old daughter is preyed upon by this With a Wonder and is victimized either, online or ultimately makes a trip and meets this guy in person, can YouTube be held accountable civilly or criminal by the parents of that child?
That's a great question. You know, this question raises an issue that is the topic of a hot debate right now at the federal level, right? So we have the statute called Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, CDA, as it's been abbreviated. And essentially what this federal law, which has been on the books since 1996, what it tries to do and does very well is it immunizes these online platforms from content created by third-party users, right? So if you're not heavily editorializing the content, which YouTube and Twitch and certainly Discord don't do, then anyone who publishes, any third-party user who publishes content on the platform is essentially immune. So there is a fine little nuance here on criminality, right? And exceptions for copyright infringement. But by and large, I don't think from a civil standpoint that they would have a great case against YouTube. And this is sort of I mean, as of recently as last year and this year, there are cases like the Craigslist case where online trafficking is the issue versus simply, soliciting somebody on the other end. Whereas actual commerce, I hate to say it that way, but, sex trafficking, sex being paid for through a channel. And Craigslist is on the receiving end of what judges feel is less protection, if any protection, under the CDA, right? So I think the long answer is that I think you would have trouble. If you're the parents, you're going to have a lot of trouble holding YouTube civilly responsible for this. On the flip side, when it comes to potential criminal liability, that may be something different. There might be something there, depending on how this Craigslist case goes.
The other issue, it seems to me, Raees, is that I know in the case of Craigslist, there are some 60 billion posts worldwide at any given time, and between 40 and 50 Craigslist employees to monitor this. I don't imagine the ratio is too different at YouTube. I've offered YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki several opportunities to come on this show and talk about some of these issues. She has declined on every occasion. The invite is still open. But is it governable? I guess there's two questions. Is it so big that you can't monitor everything, or is it a lack of will and not wanting to create a situation where they're going to chip into the profits by cracking down on some of these predator-like content creators who also happen to garner millions and millions of views and millions of ad revenue dollars because of it?
Yeah, I would say this. I would say the use of essentially every online platform, whether it's Twitch, Discord, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, for crying out loud, all of these platforms can be abused. They can be abused by predators like the individual that we're talking about. In my opinion, he's a predator. Probably in the opinion of most people. I think that platforms need to advance their application of technology. I mean, look, Chris, we have very, very sophisticated, not we, but I should say commercial availability of sophisticated artificial intelligence technology exists, where you can scan an image, you can scan text, where automatically programs can be executed. We use it, or I should say the platforms use it for advertising, which is ironic, right? They use it to make themselves money. So I think there absolutely needs to be some pressure to use more technology to help screen these things out. And I get a lot of calls from, for example, people who are users on TikTok, who are monetizing their TikTok accounts, who say, look, somebody reported me, and it's a bogus report. They just didn't like my account, and my TikTok account got banned. Well, why is the inverse not true? Why is it that people who are actually offenders aren't caught before 10 or 100 people have to complain about it?
Well, that's the thing that is hard to understand about YouTube. You have a situation, and this may sound self-serving, but I collaborated with Wes Most, who's a part of this particular show as well, on a story about a YouTube content creator named EDP 445. Outrageous stuff, got caught in a sting, lots of questions about the legality of the sting, but a bad guy, clearly a predator who was going after an underage kid. YouTube takes him down, right? Finally. We do the story. Wes does one version, I do another version on this channel. I'm not monetized because of, quote, sensitive social content and violence, because we got into a story about a predator. And they do the same thing to me when we do Hansen versus Predators investigations, where we are on sting operations exposing predators. Those shows are not monetized. Now, we're going to do them anyway because it's the right thing to do. Yet you've got a guy, for instance, this lion maker who was in prison in Belgium from 2016 to 2020 for rape of a child and child pornography charges. He stayed monetized all 4 years while he was in prison. YouTube subsidized him while he was serving time in Belgium. To further make this murky, Wes's version of the basically same story is monetized and ours is not. So again, I'm not worried about the money, but it just goes to show you how inconsistent YouTube is with its policies.
Yeah, I would say the bane of almost every e-commerce advertiser and content creator is exactly what you've identified, which is the lack of transparency, lack of even application of these rules and community guidelines, right? Every single social platform out there, large and small, has some sort of community guideline. It would help all of us, content creators like you, journalists, bloggers, people who are advertisers, freelancers, everybody to have a fair shake at publishing content that is going to be scrutinized in the same way. And regardless of political sphere, regardless of controversy, right? Controversial content works for a reason. But the irony of irony is your reporting on it is not getting the same level of visibility and is actually being scrutinized more than the actual people who are engaging in the alleged abuses. That's the irony in that.
I couldn't put it better myself, Raees. In another example, we did the television version of our Onision investigation, the content creator, Gregory James Jackson, based in Washington State, who's accused of sexual impropriety and solicitation and abuse and bullying and harassment of multiple young women. It wasn't until in that television series, that investigation, where we took his content and put it up against YouTube's, terms of service cartoon, the good touch, bad touch cartoon, that they finally were so embarrassed that they demonetized him. It's shocking to me what they crack down upon and what they don't. But at least in the case of EDP 445, he was deplatformed. He now has another YouTube channel up, and we'll see what happens there. What do you think is going to happen with a Wonder on YouTube? Do you think they finally catch up with him?
A great question. I've seen video, or at least video commentary posted about him. I don't know the depths of what type of content is on With a Wonder's YouTube account, but if it's anywhere close to what he was doing on Discord or Twitch, YouTube should act like yesterday. I mean, it's egregious. It's disgusting. The guy's literally playing with himself on camera. He's talking about, there's video that people in Reddit have preserved with this guy, and commentators have preserved with this guy going to playgrounds saying, I'm trying to make friends with kids. Even if it's for shock, right? Even if it's sort of like the Howard Stern effect, if I can use that. Sure. Everybody who broadcasts knows what I'm talking about. It's so egregious that if you take the position, YouTube, that this is not content that you're going to endorse, then don't allow it on your platform. Or take the position that you do allow everything on your platform and you're not going to remove anything, right?
And monetize everything.
And monetize everything, right? No, exactly. It's and again, for people who rely on this as their work in particular, who are commercially, developing content, it's important to them. It's also important to the current society we're in. If you're taking a position on what is morally and ethically or contractually wrong, you have to enforce it. You have to enforce it. You have to enforce it equally.
Have we legally in this digital world even come close to figuring out how to regulate this? I mean, I can only imagine what your caseload looks like, the cases that come your way, the clients, the matters you have to deal with. It is still, and would appear to be for the foreseeable future, the wild, wild west.
It is 100% the wild, wild west. There is no area of business in the universe that is as fast and loose, as quick to rise, quick to fall as doing business on the internet, period, particularly in content creation. I can put up a video, monetize it, draw traffic to it, and it could be completely trash. Or somebody who is doing wonderful work, who's not monetizing it, but is just doing it for a public service, could be tanked with a false allegation, right? And so it is 100% the Wild West. I don't know that we're ever going to get our arms around it completely. I think doing it in a piecemeal way is the best way. And the thing is, I want to make clear, I'm not a big advocate for censorship. I mean, there are certain things that shouldn't be on the internet. If people shouldn't be able to publish false and defamatory information about Chris Hansen, for example, right? Defamation is its own animal. That's not protected speech. It hasn't been for centuries, right? But we still don't police it the same way. We still don't police it the same way. And I think Section 230, this federal statute that we were talking about, it didn't have the context of 2020 and 2021 and what's going on in today's world when it was enacted in 1996. So I think we need to revisit some of the permissions and grants that the statute allows. I think it's a little uneven.
Raees Mohamed, I appreciate it. Please promise me you'll come back on. It would appear that these issues are very much job security for the two of us.
Hey, absolutely. More calls than I can handle, but great work that you're doing. Thanks for having me on the show. And
well, thanks for shedding some light on all this, and we'll have you back again real soon. Appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Chris.
Attorney Raees Mohamed. Wes, I'm first of all blown away again by the great work you did on the piece. Perry, obviously a character, outrageous, but not breaking the law. These other guys, especially this example we talked about with Raees Mohamed, Lion Maker. This guy was really in prison for like 4 years and was still getting revenue from YouTube after being convicted?
Yeah, convicted, was in prison. I'm not sure if it was for the full 4 years, but I know for 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, he was continuing to be paid on that YouTube channel until they finally took it down when the uproar just got too loud to ignore.
And with a wonder, he was banned from Twitch as we have this conversation, but he's still on YouTube.
Still on YouTube, still able to stream, still has fans that are following him. And there were actually people while I was at the live stream, they initially kicked me out. They blocked me, his mods did, and he ended up making me a mod so that they couldn't kick me out so I can continue asking. It was very bizarre.
Well, great job getting the interview, and I'll be fascinated to see what YouTube does about all this in the aftermath of our reporting here. What do you make of YouTube's policy here? You've been a content creator for a number of years. You've seen the inequities. You've seen people like Onision get away with all kinds of predatory behavior, with a wonder still getting away with it. Lion Maker, we saw EDP demonetized, deplatformed, but now he's apparently got another channel he's launched.
He's back. That. He is back. The notorious EDP is back. He has a few videos. It's all the same. It's just a lot of bragging and cursing and talking about how people are jealous of him, and then some gun safety, which is more like, let me show you some of the guns I have videos, and a new Instagram as well. And there's been no level of acknowledgement of what he's done or trying to go out and get any help, which you also saw in the video. Real common trope among these guys is, I'm going to get help. I'm going to get help for what I need, like he did in that Bakersfield parking lot. And then here we are a few months later, and he's right back on YouTube like nothing happened.
Do you worry that by trying to expose these predators on this platform that we are inadvertently giving them the attention they so desire?
Well, I don't know. And that was one of the things that was kind of left out from the EDP video that we did. I just think a lot of people's idea on, crime and punishment is changes by the generation. What would have been considered okay in the 70s wouldn't have been okay in the 90s and so on. And if you talk to millennials and ask them what they think about, would you rather be exposed in a Bakersfield parking lot or quietly go to jail for 2 years? Most of them are going to say that worst punishment is being exposed like that. So I don't know. To me, I couldn't think of anything worse than being the subject of a video being pointed out as a predator with actual proof for the world to see. So no, I don't think we're doing them any kind of service. This is exactly what needs to be done.
Good. I agree with you. So we'll keep doing it. Wes Most, once again, excellent job. So happy to have you as a collaborator, and let's keep it rolling.
Thanks, Chris.
Wes Most, thank you very much. God, just so much to take in on all of this, and just stunning that someone like With a Wonder can maintain a channel on YouTube professing that it's okay for an adult to have sexual relations with a 14-year-old girl. And we heard from, Attorney Raees Mohamed about the serious legal questions there. We will continue to report on this story and other predators, as well as so many other things. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back very soon with another edition of Have a Seat with Chris Hansen. In the meantime, check out our podcast, Predators I've Caught, on Apple Podcasts and every other podcast platform. You can reach me here or on Instagram, official Chris Hansen, at Chris Hansen on Twitter, and Chris at predatorpodcast.com. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I'll be watching.